again. So for this video, I'll be going through compound shapes, the area of compound shapes. So given these three shapes, the approach is the same depending on, regardless of how the shapes look. All you need to do is follow the key principles of step 1, identifying which shapes you can get. Step 2 will be splitting them into those shapes and getting the measurements. And in step 3, find the area of each piece of the shape. And in step 4, add the final product. Now, looking at this shape, we see a shape coming across that would look like a rectangle, one coming down looking like a rectangle. So it means therefore that there's a possibility that there are two rectangles or a square or a rectangle being used to create this shape. So let's split the shape now. So if I split it this way, you will then realize we have a rectangle coming down and a rectangle here. So for ease of access, it's best you always label. So I call this A and I call this B. Now, when you look at it, you will have to now find the area of each piece. Now, looking at shape A, we have the width, which is 3, but then we need the length. There is no length there currently, technically. So what do you do to find the missing length? All you need to do is look at the sides that are opposite to it and add them. So looking opposite to this line, we currently have a 6 that's right across. Opposite to it again, we have a 4. So it therefore means that this entire line is the sum of these two. So here, if we break it coming across, it means this would be a 6 because of the rules of a rectangle, like the opposite sides are equal. So this would be a 6 here, coming across, this would be a 4. So 6 plus 4, that would give you 10 for this side. The same idea would give you down here, which would be 3 would be here, and 8 would be here. So 3 plus 8 would be 11. Now let's work shape A. So A equals the length, because it's a rectangle, the formula for a rectangle will be length times width for the area. So the length of it is 10 times the width of the shape is 3. So 10 times 3, you work that out and you get 30 meters squared. You do the same process, but this time you are going to do it for shape B. This is B. So the length of B is 8 and the width of B is 4. So that's 8 times 4. When you get the area for all of the pieces, you simply add them together. So let's draw the addition line. So you add 30 plus 32, that would give you 62, and you put on your units, meters squared. And that would have been the answer for this. Now, there is a possibility that maybe when you were looking at the shape, you did not see it coming down this way, you saw it being split in another direction. So let's work it that way. So I'll use a different color marker. So for example, so the black would be this. Now, when you are looking at the shape, maybe you saw that if you could have possibly split it come across that direction instead. Now, because you split it in a different way, the process would be the same. Your individual pieces of answers are going to be different, but the final answer will be the same. So let's work that part and let's demonstrate. So working through A. So shape A here, it's 3 for the width, and this time it's going to be 6 for the length. So that's 6 times 3, and that will give you 18 here. So that's 80 meters squared. Now do the same process. This time we're doing B. So B now, the length is going to be 11, and the width is going to be 4. And 11 times 4 gives you 44 meters squared here. So now, same process, you will add. So 18 plus 44, you would add them and you'll get 62. So 8 plus 4, 12, So you put the 2 here, carry 1, 4 plus 1 plus 1 gives you 6. So that's 62 meters squared. And that's the answer. So you realize that despite how you split the shape, your final answer will be the same at the end of the day. The process is the same regardless of how the shapes look. So let's take a look at this one. So I'll only be working the others one way. So what you can do is you can pause the video and work the questions and check your answer. And if they are correct, you know you are on the right path. If you're not correct, you can check through and see where you would have gone wrong. So looking at this shape, how do you want to split it now? So let's just split it this way. So here we'll have A at the top, B here. So let's put A. So A would be 19 for the length, because it's 2 rectangles, we can clearly see. So 19 times 5 for A. Now let's put the part for B. So B now would be, looking at the length, that's going to be 8 times. But now we need the width. But there is no width present as a number. So how do we find the width given the information that we have? So based on the principle over here, it says when adding these 2 short opposite sides will give you the length of this one. Now in this case, you're given the length of this piece, you're given the length of this piece, and you're given the length of the entire thing. All you now need to do is figure out what would be the dimension of the inner piece. So if this is 6, because the laws of a rectangle, opposite sides must be equal. So if this part is 6, this part is 6, so that's 6 plus 6, that's 12. What could you add to 12 in order to get 19? That would be the answer that comes here. So that would be 7 meters there. And because the rectangle law says whatever the opposite side is, they are equal. So if this little piece here is 7, it means that 7 meters would be the piece outside as well. Now, when you get that 7, you will just put it now here. And you'll work them out. So 5 times 19. That should give you 95 meters squared. And then you work out what is 7 times 8. That should be 56 meters squared. And then the same process now, you simply add both. So it's going to be 5 plus 6, that gives you 11 there. Carry 1. 9 plus 1 is 10 plus 5 is 15. And you put on your unit of meters squared. And please remember, as long as it is a area that you're calculating, the 2 must be at your answer and they should be written behind the units. And if it's a case that you're not given a unit, like in these cases, and you calculate the area, you will put squared units at the end of your answer. And for the final question now, here we have 2 shapes. But this shape, this looks like a rectangle. But this shape at the top have slanted sides, so it cannot be a rectangle. The slant sides are going in 2 different directions, so it cannot be a parallelogram. Can't be a square. The fact that you have 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, it can be a rectangle. So, based on the other shapes of mathematics that you know that are quadrilateral, since it has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, trapezium would be the most appropriate. So, you will label your or split your shapes just the same. So, A, B. So, shape A equals. Now, because A is a trapezium, you'll have to write the formula for the trapezium. You can literally write it or you can mentally have it and fill in the answers. So I'll literally write the formula first. So that's going to be half A plus B, close brackets, H. So this is saying that it's going to be half of the 2 parallel sides of the trapezium being added, and then you'll multiply that by the height of the trapezium. So if you're using a calculator and you don't like working with fractions, all you can do is change your half to 0.5, which is a decimal. So you'll have 0.5, open bracket. A plus B means the 2 parallel sides. So the parallel sides of this are going to be 9 and this side here. But because this piece here is a rectangle, it means that this 10 comes up here as well. So it's 9 plus 10. And then the height of the trapezium would be the 8 here, because it's the part that's affiliated with it and makes what we call the perpendicular side or the perpendicular height of the trapezium. Now that you have these, all you now need to do is, if you're using a calculator, you can just simply type it in, and you should always type it in the way that it is written. Now, what that means is that if you should work it and you put 0.5 with times 9 plus 10 times 8 without the brackets being there, you're going to get a different answer. So if you're going to be putting all of this, you'll have to put 0.5 times open bracket 9 plus 10 close bracket times 8, and the calculator will be able to work it using the Bumdas formula correctly. Without the bracket, it would mean that the calculator will be working it as 0.5 times 9 plus 10 times 8. So it would be giving, on this side it would be 4.5 plus 80. So you'd be getting 84.5, which is different from what the answer would be. So when you work it, if you're not using a calculator, you just simply add these two first. That gives you 19. You'll multiply the 19 times 8, and then when you get that answer, you'll be dividing it by 2, and that would give you 76 meters squared. And then you do the same process now for shape B. So shape B, looking at it, it's a rectangle. So you use the rectangular formula. So that becomes 7 times 10 equals, and you work that out, 7 times 70, and that would be the answers for the little pieces. And now for the final answer, you just simply need to add them. So it's going to be 76 meters squared plus the 70, and that would give you 146 meters squared, and that would be your answer. So all you need to do is just work out each piece of the shape. So split the shapes. Then you will identify what shape it is that you have created. Then you label the shapes that you can have ease of access to know which one you're working at each point in time. When you think about which shape you're going to be working with, you remember or you recall the formula. So if you know the formula mentally, like for a rectangle, length times width, you can go ahead and just write the numbers. Or if you don't know the formula mentally, and you might mix it up when you're writing out the answers, you can write the formula on the page and work it through, filling in the values and get your answer. So that's all there is to calculating the area of a compound shape. Just simply split your shapes, recall the formulas for each shape, and then you work the pieces and add the answer together. And so that means you will have to practice the formulas for each shape, because without the formulas, you will not be able to actually calculate the area of the individual pieces. So I hope this video will have helped you in understanding what it entails to calculate the area of a compound shape. So tune in again another time while I explain other mathematical concepts.